Alright, everybody, it's our Klaus here, and truly amazing video for you today. We're going to be all across the board, and I want to focus on a number of pieces, including Queen's mega hit Bohemian Rhapsody, as it is one of the most popular songs of all time. And of course, I want to look at why so much energy is being focused into that song outside of it being a very well written piece of music. But I want to show you how that is connected with the impending total solar eclipse due to take place on the 21st of August 2017 here. I want to show you how both of those ideas are connected with the impending assassination of a very high profile figure. Now, whether this be somebody like Donald Trump or Beyonce or any other number of people we've talked about in the past, I want to show you how this coding is just about airtight. All right, and so I'm also going to be talking about how Ozzy Osbourne is going to be playing at the Total Solar Eclipse Moonstock Festival in Illinois. All the things, all right? So let's start with Queen's song Bohemian Rhapsody. So as you can see here, as is a list from Gazette Review, there are a number of them that place Bohemian Rhapsody at the very top for most popular songs. Now, although this song was released back in 1975, it actually was released as a single on Halloween that year. I want to show you just right here, if you go to news and Bohemian Rhapsody, it is still being kept very alive in the collective consciousness, right? So you see Rolling Stone, as recently as August 1st, is doing a flashback talking about Axl Rose and Elton John playing this song in front of course, 72,000 people. But look as well, Stephen Colbert doing Bohemian Rhapsody parodies. You also, parodies. And you also have all these interesting bits about Siri loves to sing this song. And of course, you can connect it in with Donald Trump's tweets and another number of other pieces. But notice as well, it is going to be the name of the biopic for the band Queen, and looking into everything, right? So there's a lot going on with this song. I wanted to show you this over here as well. This is obviously from the wiki page on it. But you can see here, the New York Times commented that the song's most distinct feature is the fatalistic lyrics. Mercury refused to explain his composition other than saying it was about relationships, and the band is still protective of the song's secret, all right? And so again, just hinting at there's so much more to this song than meets the eye. Of course, a lot of people want to say it's just simply about Freddie trying to come out to the public, and you know, it's very personal, but arguably there is so much more. Take a look at this right here as well. It says, when the band released a greatest hits cassette in Iran, a leaflet in Persian was included with translation and explanations, which included the whole biography of the whole band and complete lyrics with the, again, Persian translation. In the explanation, Queen states that Bohemian Rhapsody is about a young man who has accidentally killed someone and, like Faust, sold his soul to the devil. On the night before his execution, he calls for God, saying Bismillah in the name of God in Arabic is what that translates to. I'll show you later the coding for Bismillah is also the same as the devil, very interesting. But you see here, and with the help of angels, regains his soul from Shaitan, the devil in Arabic. And so you can read through this more and more and just see how it has all this stuff to do with committing murder. And if you listen to the song, it's also very obvious that, right, he's talking about that, mama, I just killed a man. But let's take a look back here. Let's jump at this coding. And so take a look. As I stated, it was released on Halloween in 1975, so that's currently 41 years ago, soon to be 42, which is of course the cursed number, and we'll talk about the number 41 later. But something I do want to note is that NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was also founded on Halloween in 1936, which, remember, is also the same year that Hoover Dam was completed. It's the same year that Geico was founded, and go watch that video because it is truly amazing, all right, the information that I'm sharing with you. But so in any case, I wanted to note the difference between JPL and this song coming out, because there's a 39-year difference, and I'm going to loop this all back at the end end of the video to see how much you're paying attention. But so something to note here though, 39 is named so because it's the 39th recorded song, and it's track 5 on the same album as Bohemian Rhapsody. The album is A Night at the Opera. Now why I want to say that to you is because this song 39, and of course that's an inverted 93, the master Thelemic number, but the length of the song is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So of course that 33 when we drop the 0. And look at this as well. I could do a whole video just talking about the symbolism very well represented on this cover here and its occult connections, but in one word, duality. Dualisms, that's what this is all about here. And of course you have this flaming crab in the middle here above the mirror, and I don't want to sidetrack on it, but ask me about it and I'll be sure to elaborate for you if you would like. So let's get back to this though, because Bohemian Rhapsody, we have the 2nd and 18th letter that those words start with, and so we get 218. Now that's today, August 6th is the 218th day, and I want you to keep that date in mind, all right, because we're going to talk about it and how it connects with the moon and all these other bits, right? So both the words Bohemian Rhapsody, they're 8 letters, so you have a nice 88. Remember, the simple value is Trump and the new age for that number. And of course, the total there is 16 letters. This is the Tower tarot card, which we've talked about extensively. You can also do 8 times 8 for 64, which remember is the same as Klaus and Thelema. Now, if we're looking at the simple value of 218 is the same as the Book of Revelation, as well as our number is 11. Bear in mind, Bohemian Rhapsody is track 11 off of this album, Night at the Opera, and of course that's the chief magic number. It's the number of points on the Tree of Death. All these things we've talked about in the past, but you also have 218, the same as No Mercy for the Sheep. Remember, this would be the literal translation of America if we break it down, all right? So now let's get back into this here though. Look for Bohemian Rhapsody. As I noted, it is 16 letters total. It's interesting to note that Freddie Mercury died 16 years after the release of this song, so it's a big deal. And I want you to also consider that if we go by this 39 logic, saying that that was named because it was the 39th recorded track, if we count them out, this would be the 45th song. And so it's interesting to think about, with Trump being our 45th president and all of this talk of him being the next major sacrifice. All right, so look here, you have reference to goodnight and goodbye, as well as use to count. So give me a minute and I'm going to do just that. If you look at the English and simple values down below here, you do see outright Third World War, Agenda 21, demonic martial law. You also have Master of the Lodge, the last Trump. You get this number 107, which we've talked about extensively. I'm going to come back to it here in a second, but look here as well, 17-0. If we look at that as a simple value, is the same as Church of Satan, the Aeon of Horus, World War III, and HAARP earthquakes. Now, take a look down here at this simple value of 107. And we did just talk about this in the last video. This is one of the most major numbers that I look at for you. But do notice it's the same as Be With Us and 515, two apocalyptic concepts right there, all right? One from the Lord of Illusion, the other from Dante's Divine Comedy. I also want you to see it's the same as Bullet Catch. Now, before we get into too much here, notice the English value, and anytime there's these English values, it's simply the simple value times 6. So 107 times 6 is 642. Now, if you mirror and add that, 642 plus 246, you do get 888. Now, this is a really big deal, and I want to talk about it a lot today because it's the same coding as both David Blaine White and Donald J. Trump. All right, so very big stuff right there, and I'm going to come back to it in a bit because those are going to be two huge characters throughout this video today. But something I also want you to keep in mind is that HR 642 House Resolution 642 here. This was introduced in Congress last year. I talked about it extensively, and you can see here it wants to recognize magic as a rare and valuable art form and national treasure. This is not a joke. This is from congress.gov. Again, I talked about this so very much. 114th Congress, 11 times 4 for that 44. But take a look at some of these pieces here. Recognizing magic as a rare and valuable art form and national treasure, whereas magic enables people to experience the impossible. Whereas many technological advances can be directly traced to the influential work of magicians. Whereas magic fulfills some of the highest ideals and aspirations of our country by encouraging people to question what they believe and what they see. And think about how this ties into this Bohemian Rhapsody song with the opening lines, "Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?" All right, and I'm going to come back to those lyrics later and really break them down for you. But again, I do have numerous videos talking about this bill, so I highly advise you go look into them, the connections to David Copperfield, Charles Dickens, so forth. All right, but notice as well here, you do have this Project Magic, which is going to come up later, something that was created by David Copperfield using magic as a form of therapy for children with physical, psychological, and social disabilities. Now, one of the things I feel is most interesting about this is that it in no way operationally defines what magic is and what it is that is to be made a national treasure. All right, it's left very open-ended, and so to me that is quite troubling. But let's take a look back here just so you can see some of this 515 information if you're unfamiliar with it, but this breaks down some of the possible interpretations that you can have for that number coming out of Dante's Divine Comedy. Of course, all those words, 6 letters, the 666, etc. All right, so now let's get back down here. If we break these words down, Bohemian, it's a simple value of 67. It's also the same as satanic, killer, water. You also have alchemy and work. Do remember we talked about the Who and their song 515. The B-side is water. Of course, there's so much to be said about that, but I've said it before, so let's keep moving here. If we look at Rhapsody on its own, it is the same as the Bulldog, Beast of Death, Whacking Day, and Nuclear Bomb. Remember everything that we talked about with the Mack truck conspiracy that I put forward to you. And again, criminally underviewed videos, so please be sure to familiarize yourself with it, all right? So now, keep going here. Like I said, it was released currently 41 years ago. A simple value of 41 is the same as USA, Oz. Now we're going to talk about not only Ozzy Osbourne, but Liber Oz or Book 77 from Aleister Crowley later on, and show you how that connects in as well. But you also have Globe, King, Home, and Gecko, all these big pieces, all right? So there's some kind of numerology you can do with 41 and its English value of 246, and you get some very important numbers out of there. But so let's take a look at this over here. A Night at the Opera has the same value as the Bullet Catch. And so why this is so important and why I'm always ringing this in for you is because David Blaine, right, and Donald Trump here, and as I've discussed in the past, they definitely have this history together. But so notice here, September 18th, 2008, Trump and Blaine announced the Upside Down Man, or the Dive of Death. I actually had a couple of videos on this on my now banned channel, but there's some very interesting things there. And again, you can just see this openly mocking symbolism here of the inversion of them with one another. So there's a lot to be said, but do notice here, because 42 is going to come up a couple of times, and you see that the What is Magic special from 2010, Blaine caught a .22 caliber bullet from a rifle in a small metal cup in his mouth. And I also want you to see that in Beyond Magic, his most recent special, which again we'll talk about later on, is also 42 minutes. Again, that's the cursed number, and I'll expand on that for you later. But notice as well, he's doing the same trick where he's catching the .22 caliber bullet in his mouth. And remember that 22 is the master builder Master Builder number. It's the number of trumps in the major arcana, is the number of paths in the whole tree of life between the Sephiroth and the Qliphoth. And so there's a lot to be said about that, all right? And remember, with September 18th being the day that Trump and Blaine announced that trick, we looked into September 18th a little while ago because that's also the day that Jimi Hendrix died. But historically, it is a huge day. You can see in 1947 is the day that the National Security Act was enacted, and that gave us the Department of Defense, the National Security Council, and the Central Intelligence Agency all being established, all right? And so very huge. And of course, Lana Del Rey's Honeymoon album released in 2015 on that same date. There's so very much, and as always, I urge you to watch my previous videos because all of this information builds off each other. You can think of this as a ongoing lecture series in which it is very important to be caught up with the previous lectures, all right? So notice here, back on the left side of your screen, A Night at the Opera is the same as the Bullet Catch. It's the same as Trumpet. It all falls into place, and we also get human sacrifices and the number 109. And so a few things to point out with this. Do remember, and she'll come up again later today when we were talking about this whole Lady Gaga sanitation, her connections to Trump. Notice this is a Mack truck that she is standing on. It does have the caduceus over here, and it does have the number 109 hidden on it right there. And so I'm going to come back to this later on, but this is a very monumental picture to keep in mind with everything, all right? So now notice down below these English and simple values. They're the same as enough is enough, September 7, Age of Illuminatium. So remember, enough is enough. That is this card from Steve Jackson's Illuminati card game that has everybody kind of up in arms about the assassination of Donald Trump, and we talked about this in the last video, so be sure to catch up with that. And again, notice these up and down arrows here, kind of like an elevator, but if you were to put those together, you absolutely have a hexagram. And so that is a very important occult symbol, to say the least. And of course, Age of Illuminatium is something that I got looking at the quote-unquote official website of the Illuminati. You can see right here and easily research all of this so that you can just see how well put together it all is, all right? And so something else I want to note for you, just in the importance of David Blaine and all of this, because he's going to keep coming up today. His birth date was April 4th, 1973. You can see he's currently 44 years old, but why I want to reiterate that to you is because that is the same day that the World Trade Centers, the ones that were destroyed on September 11th, that was the same exact day that they opened, April 4th, 1973, all right? So it's a really big deal that we see those connections. And of course, you can look through this and see connections to Holy Double Eight, again, that reference to Trump. You have All Will Manifest, The Law Fulfilled, Sweet 16, remember the 9th month, the 7th day, 9 and 7, 16, like we were talking about earlier. Freddie Mercury died 16 years after the release of Bohemian Rhapsody, and so let's keep going here though, right? Because you can see, you can read through all this, and as always, ask questions in the comments. Now remember, we got the date August 6th today from BR 218, the 218th day, and now if we look at the difference between that and September 7, the number we're getting from A Night at the Opera here, a date, it is 33 days in between. Now remember, this is a Master Masonic number, an incredibly important one. In Crowley's Book of Lies, which you can see referenced here, 333, that is the number of that book. The 33rd chapter is titled Baphomet, and there's so much, and I've gone over it, but let's keep moving here. The difference between August 6th to August 21st, the day of the total solar eclipse, that's 16 days, all right? And so again, familiarize yourself with the Tower card and catch up with this information, okay? Now take a look at this right here. Freddie Mercury, the man behind this song, and this is one of the few songs, Bohemian Rhapsody, that he wrote on his own and was just really protective of everything about it. But But take a look here. His Jewish value is 911, and that is the same as the Blackstone Group LP. Now remember, this is very important because this is who owns Willis Tower, located at 233 South Wacker Drive. Now August 21st is the 233rd day, and I'm going to expand on that for you in just a moment. But do remember that the building is so large, it has its own area code, 60606. You drop those zeros, you have that 666 there. And look at this, completed the same year that the World Trade Centers opened and that David Blaine was born 44 years ago. All right, so absolutely massive. Notice as well, the largest tenant here is United Airlines. I'll come back to that. I do have a whole video talking about the Blackstone Group, this building, and all of the parallels that it has with the World Trade Centers. All right, so please go watch that. Now look here. You have 9/11 FEMA, division, as well as the God of Destruction, the end of the Aeon of Horus. We're currently in the 113th year of it. And you also have this reference to false flag nukes at Utah. Now, I thought this was interesting because it seems just very veiled. Utah is the 45th state admitted into the Union 121 years ago. 121 is the same simple value as Don Trump, blood sacrifice, and Antichrist. Now, we'll come back to this later because, again, these numbers will come up again. But notice this down below, the English and simple values, huge connections with research we've done in the past, but it is the same as the law of Thelema, as well as the Antichrist, Lord of the Flies, America the Babylon, evil billionaire, and so much more. All right, so take a look at this. Mercury died on November 24th, 1991. So 2017 is going to mark 26 years of that. And if we just look at the number 26, it's very important because its English value is 156. Now, this is the same as Our Lady Babylon. This is her actual number that is designated by Crowley. And if we're looking at it as a simple value, it is the same as 666 as well as 33, both written out. And you also have the very important phrase, as above, so below. It's also the same as Planet Trump. This is on the Economist cover, in which the tarot spread is laid out for his presidency. All right, so a lot of information here. But take a look at this. If we write 26 out, the simple value is the same as Project Monarch, as well as Economic Armageddon, Satanic Ideology, Winged Serpent. And again, just think back to this Lady Gaga piece here and how all of this connects in with the winged caduceus there and the very massive symbolism. But again, November 9th, 11th month, 9th day, you do have that 119 or inverted 911. However you want to see it, they're both very important. Now, one step further with the 26, if we invert it as 62, it is the same as Queen, right? The name of the band that we're looking into. You also get this reference here to Mason and the made-up word that Trump used, Covefe, and I feel like this is definitely a hidden piece and kind of a watermark that they're using to show how this is connected when it's all going to fall into place. Notice as well references to black magic, genocide, disease, and plague, all things that we've gone into very extensively for you. So now let's break down just a few of the lyrics for this. If we look at the phrase, is this the real life? Answer is no. But you do see reference to Rosicrucian, which are one of the secret organizations that have designed the world that we live in. You also have reference to the secret path, cult members, the CERN time loop. Notice as well as is the same value as Pez, and all of this harkening back to the Pez theory. Again, immensely important. Just think about all the talk we do with Dante, the writer of Dante's Divine Comedy. Obviously, he died in 1321 here, and that is the Jewish value for the Pez theory. And again, take a look at all of these pieces, how massive they are when we put them into place. Now, the ES values for is this the real life? You get a perfect illusion, as well as mistaken for love. Now remember, these are Lady Gaga lyrics, okay? And you see that it just fits conceptually with the question, is this the real life? And you also have Donald John Trump's full name written out in that coding, and do note that his name is 15 letters. The 15th tarot card is the devil card, all right? So very interesting. But you also have these ideas: Book of Revelation, secrets kept hidden, the word of Thoth, again, Egyptian god of supreme importance. But keep moving here. The next question they ask, is this just fantasy? Answer, yes. But notice here references to John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Jesuit Catholic conspiracy, and you get this quote, Uranus is the root of all evil. Now, it is very noteworthy because it is the 7th planet. Uranus is said to be the husband of Gaia, and translated as the heavens. I do have this very interesting piece on it, I think right here for you. But notice this: it lies beyond the rings of Saturn and is thus a major step in evoking that state of transformation whereby the self-conscious individual merges into a greater group orientation. You also have this very important piece: it quickens the urge to change the established order. Uranus is the planet of the 7th ray, ceremonial, order, and magic. All right, so very, very important. Now let's jump back here because I don't want to get too ahead of everything. All right, so now back here, check this out, the English and simple values for Is This Just Fantasy? You have the Blackstone Group LP. So now we've covered both of our bases with them coming up here, and it's very, very important, all right, because do notice that Willis Tower Attacks shares this coding, and that is their building, all right, very, very important. And so the question would then be, is this just fantasy when that building is attacked? Notice as well 411 Elm Street shares that same coding, and that is the location that JFK was quote unquote assassinated. All right, so very critical pieces here. Golden Dawn Hermetic Order, the reference to Aleister Crowley's full name there, but you also see the Illuminati Project, the number 777, which is massive in many ways, but it is the same value as order out of chaos. And then you do also see Brotherhood of Darkness and this reference to 1080 and 180. And so why this is so critical with everything is because, and I'll pull it up for you on the side here, that is the English and simple value for Lady Gaga sanitation, all right? It's also the same as a number of other very important things that we've looked into, but so here's that one. But notice as well, Pilgrim Society. This is another huge secret group that next to nobody is really aware of, all right? You also have the 444 written out, which is directly connected with the religion of Thelema, as well as this idea of the master builder, all right? So it goes on and on with these connections. But notice as well, extraterrestrial race, and again, is this just fantasy? You know, one of the things that I pointed out in one of my last videos talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, the movie Aftermath, and August 4th, 5th, and 6th as days to watch out for. I'm over here in Washington, and we haven't seen the sky in over a week because of the massive fires that are burning up in Canada right now, and that smoke is traveling south still. And so the whole idea there, though, is that sets up something really interesting with the idea of Project Bluebeam. So look into that if you're not familiar, but keep moving here. At the end of the song, they come to the conclusion that nothing really matters. Now, that shares coding with 2016, the year that Trump was elected president, and that should have been the red flag for everybody that nothing actually matters, all right? Because again, makes no sense. And do remember, in 2015, my original channel was banned on November 9th, and that is the same day in 2016, on the 1-year anniversary, that Trump was proclaimed to be the winner of the election. Notice as well, it's the same as 144,000 written out. That is the English value for Is This Just Fantasy? So as I'm telling you, this is next to airtight. But now notice this as well. The simple value of 121 for the phrase anyone can see. And again, these are lyrics from the end of the song, but they're sharing coding with Don Trump, blood sacrifice, revelation, Antichrist, and I/pyramid, right? Now again, here you can see this reference to Bismillah, as we discussed earlier on, same as the devil, violence, hail Satan, but so very important that that's said before any undertaking for that religion, all right? Massive pieces. Now, let's keep moving here. So, I think it's all the way back here. Ozzy Osbourne, 0066, all the things, right? But he's going to be performing this song, Bark at the Moon, on August 21st during the total solar eclipse. Now, there's a lot of different pieces on this, and it's going to be a little scattered, but I do want you to see this. Bark at the Moon performed during the eclipse. That's one of the hallmark pieces that they're pushing through for this. And so let's jump back here before we get into all of that other coding. So Bark at the Moon is 13 letters. That is the death card. Ozzy Osbourne is also 13 letters, so you have that reference there as well. But take a look at this. Death Hoax, Dangerous, Satanic Messiah, and the Time of Night. And we're going to take a look at that in just a moment here. But do see these ES values for Bark at the Moon, because they're the same as Sears Tower, all right? The original name for the Willis Tower, right? Owned by the Blackstone Group. Now, it's also the same as Our Lady Babylon, Tom Donovan. Now, this is central to Pez theory. And again, if you've not seen the film, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, highly advise you watch it, but Tom is the one who actually kills Liberty, and the whole cover-up, all those things, it's very massive with how it links into what's going on right now. But do notice as well, this all shares coding with Ground Zero, 93 written out, as well as Judgment Days, the hexagram name, and the Grim Reaper, all of this massive. So take a look at this right here. Bark at the Moon was released on November 15th, and so 111 times 5 is that very, very important 555. But the year was 1983, and so it is going to still be 33 years old during the performance at the total solar eclipse. So this is massive. But notice as well, and this is crucial, that David Blaine's most recent special, Beyond Magic, the one we were talking about towards the beginning there, was also released on November 15th last year, all right? So that's a 34-year difference. And feel free to ask me about that number as well. You can look at it as literal 3 4s, and then again you see already how it links back in with all these other pieces. But keep going. Played during the Moonstock Festival in Carterville, Illinois on August 21st, 233rd day with 132 remaining. And so again, just to reiterate it for you, that 233 being so important because that is the street location for the Willis Tower, all the things here. But go back, notice as well, and of course 2 times 33, 66, but it's the same simple value as MK Ultra Mind Control, as well as Enthroned Washington and 2018, which, if we're thinking about that Economist cover from 88, is when it is supposed that we are going to have a world currency, the full decline of the American economy, and all of the chaos that will emanate from that. Now look at this. The simple value of 132 is the same as the Rapture, Baphomet/Devil, the phrase kill Trump, as well as justice be done, and the numbers 135 written out. Now these are huge. Notice if you mirror and add them, it is the 666. But one of the things that's so important here is that it shares coding. 135 is the same as Bald Knob Cross. Now take a look here. Bald Knob Cross is where the view of the total solar eclipse gives you a 360-degree unobstructed viewing location for this event. Now, this is important because it is literally a 111-foot tall cross where you're going to be able to view this. Notice 22 square feet at the base, 16 square at the top, all right, and that 63 is just as crucial. But do remember that that simple value of 111, if you're paying attention, remember you times it by 6, it's the same as 666, all right. And so again, all of that coding that it shares with that is absolutely massive, all right. And so notice as well, bald knob cross is the same as black in the sun, right? What's going to happen that day? Terrorism, Thelemic order, god of Baphomet and dust devils. This is the 42nd chapter out of the Book of Lies. But look at this as well, because the official name for this is bald knob cross of peace. And if you type that in as well, you can see a Jewish value here gives you skull and bones outright, all right. Notice as well the 111 times 6 that you would do here. So there's another 666 for you, all right. These are absolutely massive pieces as they fall into place. So now if we go back here, and I don't know why I took my highlights away. There they are. You can see the eclipse will happen around 1:20 p.m. in southern Illinois. All right. So now if we look at 1:20, that is the same simple value as Project Magic, right? Like I was talking about from House Resolution 642. It's also the same as Illuminati, the Architect, 4-4, Mack trucks and Mack bulldogs. Massive connections there, all right. And I know it's a lot to think about, but process it, move through it, and see how this all comes together. I also want to note that the day after the total solar eclipse will be the 234th day, and so of course 234 plus 432, it's another 666. And you can also look into the values for 176 as they're very important. But now, since Ozzy is going to be playing at something called Moonstock, I wanted to take a look, right? And so here you have North America, Hypnosis, Dark Deception, Gravestone, and the numbers 185 written out. Now, you should remember this from moments ago, but that value of 185 is the same as, is this the real life? It's the same as Donald John Trump, all right? All of these things, the powers that be. It's a very massive connection there, all right? So this concert is going to take place in Carterville, Illinois. Now, you can see here the reference to the subconsciousness, but what's so important here is the ES values. Here I am written out, but notice as well, Liber 77, all right? This is Liber Oz. And remember, when I looked into this phrase, the law of the strong, and showed you all of the things that are connected with this, these ideas of joy, but again, that simple value of 216, 6 times 6 times 6 equals, right, 216. It's also the same as 2017. All of these things that we've gone into in extensive depth for you, all right? So now, keep moving here, because there's just so much, right? It just pounds and compounds and all of it, right? So notice all of these things we've looked into in the past. AFI's The Blood album, which was released on 120, all right? Again, just like the time this thing is set to take place. On and on. Mack Trucks Incorporated, this is a huge number. The Apocalypse, Global Control, Anuit Coptis. You also have Financial Crisis, the number 68, and remember O and Z, if we reduce them, 6 and 8. It's also Ozzy's current age, all right? So another check mark for that. Now, if we type Carterville, Illinois all the way out, we get a simple value of 224. 22 times 4, there's our 88 again. It's also the same as terrorist strike, love through sacrifice. Remember, there is love and there is love. There is the dove and there is the serpent, all right? And notice here, Magnificent 88, value for Trump and the new age. You also have human extermination. Now, he's going to be playing at Walker's Bluff Winery. Of course he's playing at a winery because wine starts with the 23rd letter. It's 4 letters long. Just like we said earlier, 234 plus 432 is 666 yet again. But notice as well, the address for this is a 326 address. Remember that JFK was assassinated on the 326th day. Remember that Beyonce's Formation song is 3 minutes 26 seconds long, and that Formation absolutely has that same 111, 666 value for it. All right, so let me see if I can pull that up for you here, just so you can see that again. And of course the references to High by the Beach, the Lana Del Rey song that I've been honing in on for quite some time as well. And so I'll pull this over here so you can just see all of that connected with itself. Now, it's also worth noting that Ozzy was born on December 3rd, 1948. Now we can look at this a couple of ways. If we just reduce 12 as 1 and 2 equals 3, and then the third day, there's another 33 for you. But if we want to look at it as 1, 2, 3 plus 3, 2, 1, we do get that nice 444. And so let me see if I can pull one of these up for you. You can see here the Jewish values the same as Order of Thelema, Head Mind Control, Dualisms, and FEMA Camp Program. It's a very, very massive number. And of course, if we do 4 times 4 times 4, we do get that nice 64. And again, as I've told you, it's the same as Thelema. It's the same as 2 parts of my name, as well as Yahweh. So much more. All right, it's a huge, huge number. If we reduce it down to 10, this is one of the master numbers. I'm not going to go into it again right now because we've talked about it and I want to stay on point. But he's going to be playing in Illinois, right? And that was admitted to the Union on December 3rd, 1818. Right, that really interesting mirror there, those 2 moons. But so in any case, we can get a 36, or we can look at this as a 130-year difference. So the simple value of 130 is the same as television, moon and sun, Rosicrucian again, as well as non-servium. This is I will not serve. These words are attributed to Lucifer and not following God. You also have 7th seal, white horse, what death is said to ride, and you also have black skeleton. Now if we drop this 0 here, do you notice that it is 13? As I stated earlier, Bark at the Moon is 13 letters, Ozzy Osbourne is 13 letters, and of course in the Thoth Tarot deck, this is a black skeleton representing change, progress, death, movement, all of those ideas, right? And so just keep looking here. The serpent, the dollar bill, inevitable fall. Conceptually, this all just fits into perfect place. Now, notice here as well, the full cold moon this year, it's going to take place on December 3rd. All right, so now this is very interesting because full cold moon shares the same values as 39, right? Like in the beginning of this video, we we're talking about the importance of this song and that this album will be turning 42, which it also shares coding with written out, okay? And so it's crucial. You also get this date of September 10th put out here. And so you can see that there's 85 days in between December 3rd and September 10th. Remember, we looked at 85 a little earlier on here. It's the same as Bismillah, the devil, violence, hail Satan in the earth. It's a huge, huge piece of this. And notice as well, it can also be broken down as 2 months, 24 days, or 224, just like Love Through Sacrifice, Carterville, Illinois, terrorist strike, all those things we just looked at. But one other piece that I want to show you here, because September 7th is really one of our hallmark dates right now, the time between that and December 3rd, 88 days, right on the money. All right, so incredibly important. Now notice this as well. And you can find all this information right back here. I'll leave you these articles because, as always, I want you to be able to cross-check all of the things that I'm talking to you about. But you can see here that NASA is going to stream this eclipse live around the world from Southern Illinois University's Saluki Stadium. So take a look at this. Saluki Stadium. Both words start with S. That's an 11, and it's 13 letters, right? Huge. Simple value 160, drop that 0. There's that 16 yet again, that tower card coming back. But notice here, Saluki Stadium is the same as Luciferian Mason. Devil worship, mystical arts, false prophets. It wasn't love. United Airlines, again, the main tenants at the Willis Tower here, taking up the most space and all the things, right? Go watch that video. But notice here, Carbondale, Illinois, where they'll be live streaming from, Freemason, MK Ultra, Satanism, the 11, Doomsday, Fifth Avenue, 16 written out, right? Carbondale, Illinois, all the way written out. It's the same as New World Order, Number of the Beast, False Prophet, The Wait is Over, Alien Human Contact, Secret Societies, Lucifer, Jesus, God, right? All tied in there. So that's all I have for you today. It's a lot to think about. September 7th is a huge day we're looking at, and as I've just outlined for you, August 21st and many other dates in between are also very important to look at. So with that being said, I'm going to cut this video. I really appreciate everybody who's taken the time to watch these and let this information resonate with them. A huge thank you and shout out to all of the new subscribers to this channel, and just as big a shout out, if not bigger, for all of you who have been with me for some time now, all right? Because it's been one hell of a journey, and I still have some very, very interesting things to tell you in the future here, all right? So again, thank you so much for watching, and please be well.